All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waharakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone to rule well. Peace and blessing salutations to the hopeful elect of Israel. All right, we're going to get into hell once again. I got some more information to bring out, and it's just something my spirit wanted to bring out. It was on me to bring it out, meditating upon it, because there's many things that need to be unlearned from our people, and they need to be edified on the truth. Okay? Now, this is a scare tactic that they use to get you to worship Serapis Christus, get you to worship their religion. Okay? Hell is real, but it's not like this. Okay? This is not what hell is. This is not what hell means. Hell is not a place where you burn, for all eternity and you're tortured by demons and all this. That's madness. Okay, that's not biblical at all. And I'm going to prove it, of course, because we have to prove all things. Now, first of all, they haven't proved that it is scriptural, really, with concrete script proof in the KJV. So we don't, but still, just for edification's sake, because a lot of people believe this. Now, ask yourself this. These same people that taught hell were rape, robbing, and murdering our people, were doing all manners of wickedness, and they force Christianity on us, but they're not going to burn in hell? Or what about all the pastors that are committing extortion and all the priests that are molesting little boys? They're not going to burn in hell? Or the fact that you're not worshiping God and His Son, which is Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. Instead, you are worshiping Serapis Christus, which is known as Jesus Christ today. It goes back to a false god that was created by Ptolemy to bring together the Greeks and the Egyptians. His name is Serapis Christus, okay? And he is a false god. And not only that, but you're also celebrating these holidays, which we have holy days. They celebrate holidays, which it means holy day, but it's just spelled weird. And basically, it just when something is spelled like that, that's how you know it's off. Okay, but Christmas, Easter, birthdays, these certain wedding ceremonies that they do with the ring and all of that, it all goes back to paganism. It all goes back to being satanic. It also goes, whatever it goes back to things, like whatever it specifically goes back to, it goes back to things contrary to the scriptures. Okay, it goes against what Yahweh and Yahweh Shai want us to be doing. Okay, we're supposed to keep the Pesach, which is the Passover, or Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, stuff like that. We're not supposed to keep Christmas or Easter or our birthday, all right? You can actually read Jeremiah, I think it's 10, verse 1 to verse 4, and it actually talks about Christmas in there and how it's, a heathen custom, okay? It stems back to Babylon, which a lot of these do. So somebody that worships Serapis, which is widely known as a so-called white person, even though the Bible describes the Messiah as a so-called black man. So they're clearly worshiping some false god, which, like I said, is Serapis Christus, and they're keeping these pagan holidays, which go back to other false gods, but they're going to go to heaven and they're not going to burn in hell. That's why you really need to think, because if you don't understand the scriptures, hell is terrifying. Okay? If you don't understand the scriptures, hell is a very terrifying thing to think about, but hell is not real in that sense. Okay? And I'm going to prove it. And really, I can disprove this whole hell doctrine with literally one scripture or two scriptures, but I'm going to get several. And this is going to be part one. All right? And in part one, I'm going to be exposing this false doctrine, which truthfully, they probably use just to get money. And because they probably taught that if you didn't pay them money and support them and stuff, then you'd burn in hell. And then in part two, Yahweh Shai Ratazah, that I can make the part two and, remember it. I'm going to do the real stuff, like what the lake of fire is, and also the judgment that is coming to the planet, the other nations, etc. Okay? Just touch on it a little bit, not go completely in depth, because that would, because there's a lot of things, like Jacob's trouble is an example of the judgment that is coming. Okay? So this is what they show hell as, a place where you get tortured and, burn forever and all this. This is not scriptural, okay? There are three things that hell is, Okay, there's one which hell is a condition. Okay, meaning a low estate. Okay, right now the Israelites as a people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, specifically those of so-called Negro and Indian descent through their father's seed line, they are in hell right now. Why? Because they're on the bottom. They're not in rulership. Heaven is a state of rulership. Okay, the Edomite so-called white race is in heaven right now because they're set on top. Okay, they're ruling the planet. All right. Hell is also, the second thing hell can be is the grave. Okay, they say you get buried, I'm pretty sure it's 6 feet under. When you get buried, your body gets buried in hell. That's what that is, the grave. It literally means the grave. Okay, if you were to dig, let's say you were digging a hole in the ground, like you were, digging a hole to bury something. You're digging into hell. Okay, hell is the grave. Hell is the ground. Okay, and then the final thing that hell is, which is mainly where this, type of madness right here stems from, is from hell being the valley, which is basically a pit where they burned, they sacrificed to false gods, and they also burned garbage and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure. Okay, which is known as Gehenna, right? The valley of Haman, I think, which is also known as Gehenna. All right? Because really, this hell doctrine goes back to paganism or more false gods. I'm pretty sure it goes back to some Greek mythology. And, it's really just a scare tactic, right? Because just like how it wants us to fear him, so we obey what he says, and rightfully so, the elites on the left-hand side, the wicked elite, they know that fear is the best motivator, and they use fear to their advantage for their benefit, all right? Which is why they do false flags, and which is why they scare you into worshiping their false gods, worshiping all these different false gods, which ultimately, if you're worshiping a false god, you're worshiping the spiritual demon Satan, all right? Because if you're not worshiping Yahweh Yahushai, then you're, worshiping a devil, okay? So, before we get into the scriptures, I want to bring this out. This is from, you can't see it, but this is in the, because it's a physical copy. This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Now, there's some good information in here, and of course they go off on things because it's, they got the Christianized doctrine, but this is what it says for Gehenna, all right? It says Gehenna, valley of Hinnom, salachya, it's Hinnom, a valley on the west and southwest of Jerusalem, which formed part of the border between Judah and Benjamin. Here Ahaz, which was a king of Israel, of the northern kingdom, and Manasseh, which was a king of Judah, sacrificed their sons to Molech. For this reason, Josiah, which was a just king of Judah, defiled the place. After referring to the idolatrous barbarities, Jeremiah prophesies a great slaughter of the people there and in the siege of Jerusalem. After the Old Testament period, Jewish apocalyptic writers began to call the valley of Hinnom the entrance to hell, later hell itself. The word occurs 12 times in the New Testament, always translated hell. All right? Now, we're going to get the scripts. All right, I don't expect this to be long, but Yahweh Yahushai Ratazai, it is edifying. Okay, now we're going to get into the scriptures. We're going to start here. All right, now, most people know about King Saul. He was the first king of the nation of Israel. Okay, and King David, took his throne afterwards. Well, really, King David is technically the third if you, look into it, but we know King David as the second king, okay? Because he officially ruled. Which King David at first didn't rule over all Israel. It took him a little while, and then eventually all Israel wanted to be under him. So, but point is, we know about King Saul, because I think the guy that was in between King Saul and King David was Ishboleth, or Ishbo. I think it starts with Ish. All right, and but anyways, we know about King Saul. We know that he was envious towards David, and he was, although he appeared to be on the right path at first, he quickly. Or not, maybe not quickly, because, the scriptures, we don't know how, it's over a period of time, not necessarily like a day, but we understand, the point is, whether how quick it was, or that's not the point. The point is we understand that King Saul was on the right path for a period of time, and then he did a 180, and then all of a sudden he became wicked. All right, so I'm going to read this account, which is in 1 Samuel chapter 28. I'm going to start at verse 3, and I'm going to read on down. Okay, and it's going to completely dismember that doctrine of hell. Okay, so it's 1 Samuel 28 and 3. Now Samuel was dead, which Samuel was a prophet. Okay, and he was the one that anointed King Saul king over Israel. Okay, because the people of Israel wanted a king, and Samuel prayed to Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him who was going to be king. I'm fairly certain, and he got Saul and he anointed him. Okay, Samuel also anointed King David. Okay, but he wasn't king at the time when he anointed him. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. Salachya. Verse 5. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of Yahweh, Yahweh answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto his servants, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit in Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die? So this is left-hand side magic, basically, okay? Witchcraft. And Saul sware to her by Yahweh, saying, As Yahweh liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Okay, and he said he disquieted him. All right, well, let's look up the word disquieted, just for edification's sake. Make someone worried or anxious. Disturb, worry, make anxious, trouble, concern. Oh, it said right there, make restless, make fretful. So reading on. Verse 16. Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask me, seeing Yahweh is... Well, let me read verse 15 again, just so we can get the context right, a little better. Which scriptures tell you precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, so. But, just because it's important to understand the dialogue. Verse 15, And Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me. And Yahweh is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. So he wants to ask Samuel what he's to do about this, because Yahweh isn't answering him. All right. Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask me, seeing Yahweh is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And Yahweh hath done to him as he spake by me, for Yahweh hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. All right, so Yahweh became, Saul became Yahweh's enemy, because he was wicked. just like two-thirds of our people. There are enemies right now because they don't want to repent. And Yahweh had done it, or I just read that salachya. So yeah, he took it out of his hand and gave it to David. Not literally his hand, but metaphorically. Verse 18, because thou obeyedst not the voice of Yahweh, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore hath Yahweh done this thing unto thee. Because he was supposed to kill everybody at that camp that he was attacking, and he didn't. Okay, I'm pretty sure he left some of the animals alive, and then he left one of the pagan kings alive. All right. Moreover, Yahweh will also deliver Israel into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me, and Yahweh also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. So Saul is wicked, and Samuel just told him that right here. Verse 16, then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask me, seeing Yahweh is departed from thee and is become thine enemy? And then right here, verse 19, he says, moreover, Yahweh will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, meaning Israel's going to lose. They're going to get, the Philistines are going to prevail against Israel, okay, and kill them, or a lot of them. And tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. So Saul and his sons are going to die and be with Samuel. And Yahweh also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. So why would he be with Samuel? Why wouldn't he go to hell if he was wicked? Why isn't Samuel in heaven? They're in the spirit world. They're resting. You don't just go straight to heaven someplace and it's like how Christians up in the clouds and that's where you stay. No, reincarnation is biblical. All right, now that's a different lesson for a different time, but if you want to read about it, you can go to therealhebrewisraelites.com and press on the top right and look at the pages that they got on the website. They have one for reincarnation. Okay, but you go to the spirit world when you die. Okay, which is why Samuel told King Saul that he and his sons would be with him because they're going to die, and they did. All right, in Gilboa, the Philistines killed Saul. Well, they didn't kill Saul. They killed his sons, and Saul killed himself. Saul committed suicide, so he wouldn't get killed by the Philistines. But you get the point nonetheless. Okay? So that's one major thing right there. This is Ecclesiastes 12:7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was. That's talking about our bodies, because we're made from the dust of the earth. And the spirit shall return unto Yahweh who gave it. So why doesn't it go to hell? Or to heaven? It doesn't. It returns to Yahweh. And heaven is a condition too. Being in rulership, like we talked about before. Hell is a condition and heaven is a condition. All right? Once the Israelites are set on top in their kingdom, our kingdom, once our kingdom is established, we're going to be in heaven. All right? That's our heaven. And it's going to be eternal. All right? So like it said right here, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, decompose, and the spirit shall return unto Yahweh who gave it. Simple as that. All right, simple as that. Ecclesiastes 3:20. All go unto one place. All are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Okay? And then it says right here, verse 21, who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of beast that goeth downward to the earth. So that, says it right there. I was just reading to see if there's any other precepts I can get, but that's the point right here. Well, that's heavy too. Ecclesiastes 3:16. And moreover I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there. All right, so we come back and we receive judgment. Okay? That's how you receive judgment. So if you do wickedness, one life, you'd come back the next and you'd receive judgment. All right? Well, however Yahweh wants to do it, but that's, that's why you see people come out with deformities, and you see people come out. Some people come out and they die, like a day after, or even, right when they're taken out of the womb, or whatever the case may be. That's judgment. Okay? So, simple as that. You see? There was actually Yahweh Shai, when he healed that man that was blind. That man was made blind to just to show Yahushai's power, to show that Yahweh is with Yahushai and that he is indeed the anointed. But the apostles asked, they said, did he sin or did his parents sin? How would he sin if he was born blind? He was born blind. So they're talking about, they didn't understand reincarnation at first, it seemed, or at least, not right away, because Yahushua even asked, who do they think I am? And the apostles told him, different prophets like Elijah or other prophets, and which I think it may say Elias. Well, let me get this. Matthew 17:10, and his disciples asked him, saying, why then say the scribes that Elijah, that's supposed to be Elijah, must first come? All right, because it's a prophecy from Malachi chapter 4. Let's get it. All right, which Elijah came back as John the Baptist, and if you can receive it, John the Baptist, which was Elijah, came back as Abba Bivens. Okay, which Abba Bivens was a member of the commandment keepers, and he branched off, or not branched off, rather, like he didn't. He broke off. He broke away from it, and because the commandment keepers only dealt with the Old Testament, specifically the Torah, the books of Moses, and so Abba Bivens, he broke away from the commandment keepers and he went into the New Testament. All right, he was doing what the prophecy said. All right, let's get it. Malachi 4. I think I'll start at verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Okay? Now Yahushai came and Elijah did. And now Yahushai's coming back and Elijah came back. So, but there was one, well, I'm going to keep reading that, and then there was another example I want to get through the Spirit. Verse 10 again, Matthew 17:10. And his disciples asked him, saying, why then say the scribes that Elijah must first come? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. All right. That was it on that. Let me get another example. Let me get this in Luke. Luke 9:18, and it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, whom say the people that I am? They answering said, John the Baptist, but some say Elijah, and others say that one of the old prophets is risen again. And he said unto him, but whom say ye that I am? Peter answering said, Hamashiach, or the Hamashiach, or the Mashiach, which is Hamashiach of Yahweh. All right, because HaMashiach means the anointed. All right, so HaMashiach and then of Yahweh. All right, so the Messiah basically is what Peter replied. He believes that he's the Messiah. That's what he thinks. All right, so he asked though right here. He said, "Whom say the people that I am?" And they said, John the Baptist, Elijah. And then he said right here, and others say that one of the old prophets is risen again. How could that be? A reincarnation. All right? Reincarnation. So now let's move on. This is Amos chapter 9, verse 2. Though they dig into hell. What is this talking about? This is going into the elites. Okay? Because the elites, they make bunkers. Okay? And such. To escape judgment. Because the judgment is coming. Okay, which in part 2 I'm going to get what that is. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Okay, so it just said dig into hell. That's the point. Because hell means, once again, salachya. Hell is a condition, it's the grave, or it's Gehenna, all right, which is the valley of Hinnom. I think it was it Hinnom or Himon? Hinnom. Hinnom. All right? That's what they are. That's what it is. Okay? The Christian doctrine of hell is false. Okay? Get a couple more scripts. I'm going to close this part 1 at least. This is Jonah 2:2. And said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. The belly of hell. Jonah was in a fish. He got swallowed by a fish. Right? He said right here, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto Yahweh, and he heard me. All right, so he's in a low estate. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. All right, period. Now these precepts, these two, but really I can get one of them, it'll cut that doctrine. Right here. These two right here, I can get one of them and cut the whole doctrine of Christianity, his doctrine of hell. And you'll see why, okay? Revelations 20:14, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. That's the only precept you need to that's not, when you're disproving, or when you're proving things, it's good to use more scriptures, of course, But I'm saying this scripture alone, if you really think about it, it cuts that doctrine in half in itself, all right? Because Revelations means to reveal, but it says, Revelations 20:14, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So how can hell be casted into the lake of fire if hell is the lake of fire? And notice how it's right next to death. That's because hell represents a condition in this precept, or it even represents the grave. It represents a condition in this, I'm pretty sure, because you think about it, because it connects with the verse on the next page, or the next chapter. Well, really it would be the next page, basically, but it says, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So death and hell, so death and the condition of being in a low estate for the Israelites was cast into the lake of fire. Now, what is the lake of fire? And that's what I'm going to get in part 2. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Okay, and who's written in the book of life? The elect. Okay. So death and the condition, like in a low estate for the Israelites, slavery, bondage, being under the curses, that's going to be cast into the lake of fire. Now, this is the next precept. This is the last one we get. All right, this is Revelations 21:4. You're going to see how this matches up. So remember, it said death and hell were cast into the lake of fire, meaning it's going to be done away with for the Israelites. All right. Revelations 21:4, and Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And that's for the Israelites. Okay, it said there's no more death or hell, and that's going into death or the lowest state condition, suffering, depression, being under the curses, being in bondage. What did it just say? Let me read it one more time. And Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying. Neither shall there be any more pain, for all the former things are passed away. All right, so Yahweh Shai Ratazah, this was edifying to the elect. All right, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, Wahar Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone to rule well. Peace and blessing, salutations to the hopefully elect of Israel. All right, Shalom.